The chamber was silent as Captain Minho Park stood before the Galactic Council. His hands were steady, but his jaw was tight. Behind him sat Ambassador Sora Kim, her face calm and unreadable. They had come here today with hope. They were about to leave with something else entirely. The council chamber was massive, a ring of seats floating in the void of space, protected by energy shields that shimmered like soap bubbles. Hundreds of alien species sat in those seats. Some had scales, some had fur, some were made of light itself. Humanity had 2 seats among them. Just 2. They had held those seats for 87 years. High Arbiter Quindel spoke first. His voice was old, ancient, even carrying the weight of 10,000 years. His insectoid form clicked and chittered as he moved. The vote is concluded. The 3 frontier colonies established by humanity on worlds designated as Kepler 44-C, Ross 128b, and Proxima Centauri d will be transferred to Vraxian control. This action serves as reparation for trade violations committed by the Vraxian Empire. Humanity will evacuate all settlements within 30 standard days. Minho felt his blood turn cold. High Arbiter, with respect, humanity was not involved in that trade dispute. We had nothing to do with the Vraxian violations. Those colonies have been our homes for 40 years. There are children born there who have never seen Earth. Counselor Vexter leaned forward, his reptilian eyes glinting with something that looked like amusement. Captain Park, your species has been part of this council for less than a single century. The Vraxian Empire has served for 3 millennia. When adults have disputes, sometimes the children must make sacrifices to maintain peace. The word stung. Children, they always called humans that. Young species, impulsive, naive. It did not matter that humans had fought beside council forces in 6 wars. It did not matter that human engineers had rebuilt the quantum relay network after the Cascade. It did not matter that human doctors had cured the rotting plague that killed billions. They were still children. Sora stood slowly. Every eye in the chamber turned to her. High Arbiter, I request permission to address the council. Granted, Quindel said. His tone already dismissive. Humanity has served this council with loyalty and dedication for 87 years, Sora began. Her voice was soft, but clear. We have asked for little. We have given much. We have manned your border stations in sectors no other species wanted. We have shared our medical advances freely. We have died defending worlds that were not our own. Today, you ask us to surrender our homes, our families, our future, to pay for crimes we did not commit. You are being dramatic, Ambassador Vexter interrupted. We are not asking for your entire species. Merely 3 colonies. Surely Earth can absorb a few million refugees. And what happens next time? Sora asked. When another dispute arises? When another sacrifice must be made? Will you take another 3 colonies? Another 10? When does it end? When your species learns its place, Vexer said coldly. The chamber fell silent. Even the other council members seemed uncomfortable with the bluntness of that statement. But none of them spoke against it. None of them defended humanity. Minho stepped forward. Our place? For 87 years we have done everything you asked. We followed every rule, obeyed every decree. We thought that service would earn us respect, partnership, equality. He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of dozens of alien species. I see now that we were wrong. Captain, you forget yourself, Quindel warned. No, High Arbiter. I see myself clearly for the first time. Minho turned to Sora. She nodded once, small movement that carried enormous weight. Sora stepped forward and placed a small data chip on the speaker's podium. This chip contains humanity's formal withdrawal from the Galactic Council, effective immediately. We came here today hoping for justice. Instead, we found the truth. You will never see us as equals, only as tools to be used and discarded when convenient. Dexter laughed. It was a harsh, rasping sound. You cannot be serious. Where will you go? Your species controls a handful of systems. You depend on Council trade routes, Council protection, Council technology. Without us, you will collapse within a year. Collapse, Sora said quietly. But we will collapse as free people, not as servants pretending to be partners. She turned to face the entire council. Humanity withdraws. Our ships will leave council space within 6 months. We will honor all existing contracts until their expiration dates, but we will sign no new agreements. We will remove our personnel from all joint facilities. We are done. The council erupted. Some species shouted in anger. Others pleaded for reconsideration. A few sat in stunned silence. But the loudest voices were those laughing. Vexter was nearly doubled over. This is wonderful. The children are throwing a tantrum. Please, Ambassador, do leave. Slam the door on your way out. When you come crawling back, begging for readmission, perhaps we will consider it. Perhaps. Sora did not respond. She simply gathered her belongings and walked toward the exit. Minho followed. Behind them, the council chamber buzzed with conversation. Most of it was mocking. Some of it was concerned. None of it was apologetic. As they reached their shuttle, Minho finally spoke. Are we really doing this? Yes, Sora said firmly. We should have done it years ago. They think we will fail. Let them think what they want. Sora looked back at the massive council station, its lights glittering against the darkness of space. We gave them 87 years of loyalty. They gave us contempt. That debt is paid. Now we find our own path. The shuttle lifted off, carrying the last human delegation away from the Galactic Council. Behind them, in the council chamber, the laughter continued. The species that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years could not imagine a future where they needed humanity more than humanity. Needed them, they would learn. But by then, it would be far too late to fix anything. 6 months had passed since humanity walked away from the Galactic Council. Admiral Yuna Choi stood on the bridge of the ESS Horizon, watching as the last human transport ships gathered in formation. Behind them, the joint military station Sentinel-7 sat dark and empty. Once, it had been home to 3,000 humans and twice as many aliens from a dozen species. Now only the aliens remained, staring at screens that no longer made sense. Admiral, all ships report ready for departure, her first officer said. Yuna nodded. Take us out. Final jump coordinates to Sector 78. The Horizon's engines flared to life. Around it, 200 vessels did the same. Cargo ships, science vessels, military frigates, medical cruisers, all of them human, all of them leaving. On Sentinel-7, a Thalorian commander watched them go. He had served alongside Yuna for 12 years. They had fought pirates together, rescued stranded ships together, shared drinks after long shifts. He sent her a message. It was simple. Please reconsider. Yuna saw the message. She did not reply. The Horizon jumped to faster-than-light speed, and Sentinel-7 vanished behind them. At the Prometheus research station, Dr. Henwu Shin was packing the last of his equipment. The station had been a marvel of cooperation between humans and 5 other species. Together, they had made breakthroughs in quantum communication, dimensional physics, and genetic medicine. The walls were covered with awards and commendations. Dr. Shin, you do not have to do this, said his colleague, a crystalline being named Threll. Your work here is too important. Hyunwoo carefully placed a data core into a secure container. My work is my own Threll. I am taking it with me. But the Council needs this research. The FTL communication network depends on your algorithms. The Council had 87 years to respect my species, Hunhua said quietly. They chose not to. Now they can solve their own problems. Cannot replicate your work. Then perhaps you should have treated us better. Hyunwoo sealed the last container. I am sorry, Threll. You were a good friend, but I will not stay where my people are not wanted. He left the station that day. Behind him, the quantum relay systems began to fail. Without human maintenance, without human programming, they simply stopped working. The other scientists tried to fix them. They could not. The network that had allowed instant communication across half the galaxy started to go dark. Sector by sector, Taiyang Li had been a trade coordinator for 15 years. He knew every major shipping route in Council space, every shortcut, every efficient pathway. His job was to make sure goods moved smoothly between hundreds of worlds. Food, medicine, raw materials, everything that kept civilization running. He sat in his office on the trading hub of Nexus Prime, filing his resignation. His terminal was full of messages, desperate messages. A food shipment to a mining colony was delayed because the automated routing system had malfunctioned. No one knew how to fix it. A medical transport was stuck in a traffic jam of ships because the coordination network had collapsed. Dozens of vessels were burning fuel, waiting for orders that never came. Tai Yang, please. His supervisor begged. She was a Varaxian, ironically. Half the routes in this sector are failing. We need you. You need humans, Tai Yang corrected. You just did not know it. I personally had nothing to do with the colony decision. I know. Tai Yang's voice was not angry, just tired. But you said nothing when it happened. None of you did. You watched them call us children, and you stayed silent. That silence has a price. He left that day. Across council space, hundreds of other human coordinators did the same. They had been the glue holding the logistics network together. They had adapted to problems in real time, found creative solutions, kept everything moving. Without them, the system began to crack. Ships sat in docks, their cargo spoiling, because no one could figure out the routing. Colonies that depended on regular supply runs started rationing food. 3 minor species declared states of emergency in the council chamber. Councillor Vexther was reading reports with growing alarm. This cannot be accurate. Humans were only a small percentage of our workforce. They were 11% of personnel, said Drethana, the economic minister. But they handled 60% of adaptive logistics. They were the ones who fixed problems before they became crises. The ones who made the system actually work. Then promote others to fill their roles. We have tried. No other species thinks the way humans do. They are too ... flexible. Too creative. They see patterns we miss. Drethana pulled up a holographic chart. This is our projected economic stability for the next year. If humans do not return, we are looking at a 15% decline in trade efficiency. Possibly more. 15% is manageable, Vexther said dismissively. That 15% includes food shipments to 43 minor colonies. They will face famine. Vexther was silent for a long moment. The humans are bluffing. They will be back. But humanity was not bluffing. Every day, more humans withdrew from council space. They left the border stations unmanned. They left the research facilities empty. They abandoned the trade hubs and medical centers. Some aliens tried to stop them. Most just watched them go. Admiral Eunice stood on the bridge of the horizon as they passed the last council checkpoint. Ahead of them lay uncharted space, the vast regions beyond the council's borders. It was dangerous, unknown, full of potential threats. It was also free. Admiral, we are receiving multiple messages from council personnel, her communications officer reported. They are asking us to stay. Ignore them. Some of these are from friends. People we served with. Yuna's jaw tightened.
I know.
Ignore them anyway. The officer hesitated, then nodded. The messages kept coming, but no one on the horizon answered. They had said everything they needed to say 6 months ago. Now was the time for action, not words. Behind them, the council was beginning to understand what they had lost. But understanding and fixing were two different things. The ships kept jumping into the dark. The stations kept going silent. The networks kept failing. And the council, for all their ancient wisdom and millennia of experience, had no idea how to function without the young, impulsive, naive humans they had taken for granted. 3 weeks later, the first attack came. Dark Zone raiders hit a mining colony in Sector 12. The early warning station that should have detected them was unmanned. The human crew had left 2 months earlier. By the time council forces arrived, 40,000 people were dead. Vexther read the casualty reports in silence. Then he looked up at the empty seats where the human delegation had once sat. For the first time in his long life, he felt something like regret. 1 year had passed since humanity left the Galactic Council. The cracks had become CHASMS, Counselor. Drethana stood before a display showing real-time economic data from across Council space. Every number was red. Trade routes that had functioned smoothly for centuries were collapsing. Food shipments were delayed by weeks. Medical supplies sat in warehouses because no one could coordinate their distribution. The system that had sustained trillions of lives was falling apart. How did we not see this? Asked a junior counselor, a Beltharian whose green skin had paled to a sickly yellow. We saw it, Drethana said bitterly. We just did not believe it mattered. Humans were quiet. They did not boast. They simply kept everything running while we took credit for their work. On the trade station Nexus Prime, a merchant named Ji-Soo Han used to coordinate the movement of goods through 7 sectors. She had spent 18 years building relationships, learning the quirks of each species, understanding what they needed and when they needed it. Now she lived on a human colony in uncharted space. It's teaching younger humans how to establish trade networks. The messages from her former colleagues never stopped coming. They begged her to return. They offered more money, better positions, formal apologies. She deleted each message without reading it. Do you ever miss it? Asked one of her students, a young woman named Hannah. I miss the people, Ji-Soo admitted. Some of them were good friends. But I do not miss being treated like a useful pet. She pulled up a map of their new trade network. Here, we build something different. Something equal. Back on Nexus Prime, ships were fighting over docking spots. Without human coordination, the automated systems could not adapt to unexpected delays or changes in traffic. 3 vessels had collided in the past month. Hundreds of millions in cargo had been lost. The real crisis was bigger than trade. It was survival. On the agricultural world of Demeter 3, a food shortage had begun. The planet produced grain for 46 other colonies. But the transport ships were not arriving on schedule anymore. Crops were rotting in the fields while people starved 3 systems away. The local officials did not know how to fix it. Humans had always handled the complex scheduling required to move perishable goods. Can we not simply send the ships manually? Asked the planetary governor. To where? His logistics officer replied helplessly. There are 46 destinations. Each has different storage capacity, different dietary needs, different arrival windows. The humans maintained algorithms that calculated all of this in real time. We do not even understand how their system worked. Then learn. We have been trying for a year, Governor. We cannot replicate it. 3 minor species declared famine emergencies. The council sent what aid they could, but without efficient distribution. Much of it arrived too late or went to the wrong places. Thousands died. Then tens of thousands. The military crisis was worse. Admiral Kreshtar commanded the council's border defense fleet. He was a veteran of 200 battles, a tactician respected across the galaxy. But he was losing battles he should have won. The Dark Zone invaders had struck again, this time hitting 3 colonies simultaneously in a coordinated attack. Kreshtar's fleet should have intercepted them. They had the ships, the weapons, the training. What they did not have was information. Report, Kreshtar ordered. Sir, the enemy is using encrypted communications on 47 different frequencies. We are trying to decrypt them, but without the translation protocols. What translation protocols? His intelligence officer looked uncomfortable. The ones maintained by human specialists, sir? They spent decades cataloging enemy communication patterns. They could read Dark Zone transmissions in real time. We have the old data files, but they are not formatted in a way our systems can use. Adapt them. We have been trying, sir. We do not understand the human coding structure. Kreshtar felt a cold weight in his chest. How many attacks have we failed to prevent because of this? 7, sir. In the past 3 months, 7 attacks. Millions dead. All because the humans who had quietly protected them were gone. There was more. The quantum communication network that Hien Wu and his team had maintained was degrading. Real-time communication between distant fleets was becoming impossible. Coordination that had once taken seconds now took hours or days. The Council's military, once a unified force, was fragmenting into isolated units that could barely talk to each other. Nari. Song had been an engineer who maintained the data hubs at 15 major stations. She had worked 16-hour days sometimes, keeping the network stable, fixing problems that no one else even noticed. Now she was helping build new human settlements in uncharted space. Light years from Council territory, she received a personal message from the Council's chief technology officer. It was not a standard request. It was begging. Nari, please. The network is failing. We have lost 6 major hubs in the past month. Billions of people cannot communicate with the rest of the galaxy. We need you. Nari read the message. Then she deleted it. Not interested? Asked her colleague, a man named Segin. They need me now, Nari said. Where were they when we needed respect? Back on Earth, Captain Minho Park was coordinating the human expansion into new territories. Scouts had found 17 habitable worlds beyond Council space. Better yet, they had made first contact with 6 new species. None of these species had faster-than-light travel yet. None of them had the technology to be threats. But all of them were treated with the same respect humanity had been denied. Sir, we have a transmission from the Council, his communications officer reported. What do they want? They are asking for a meeting. High Arbiter, Quindle himself. Minho was quiet for a long moment. Tell them no, sir. You heard me. We have nothing to discuss. The officer sent the message. On the Council homeworld, Quindle read the rejection in his private chambers. He was 10,000 years old. He had led the Council through wars, plagues, and disasters. He had always found solutions. He had no solution for this. Counselor Vexther entered without knocking. His confidence had vanished. High Arbiter, the Varaxian Empire is mobilizing forces near our borders. They see our weakness. How many ships? 300. Maybe more. Without human intelligence networks, we cannot get accurate counts. Quindle felt very old suddenly. The colonies we gave them, the ones we took from humanity, how are they doing? Vexther looked down. The Varaxians do not know how to maintain the agricultural systems humans established. The infrastructure is failing. They are abandoning them. So we destroyed human homes for nothing. Yes. Quindle walked to his window and looked out at the glittering city below. Millions of lights. Trillions of lives depending on systems that were quietly dying. Drethana showed me projections. Complete economic collapse within 6 months if we cannot restore the trade networks. Famine, riots, system-wide failure. Can we force the humans to return? With what leverage? They are beyond our borders. They owe us nothing. Quindle turned to face Vexther. We did this. Every time we called them children, every time we dismissed their contributions, every time we took their service for granted, we built our own cage. What do we do? I do not know. And that, more than anything else, was the most terrifying admission of all. The Council had always had answers. Now they had only questions, and a future that grew darker every day. 18 months had passed since humanity left. The Galactic Council was dying. High Arbiter Quindle stood on the bridge of his personal vessel. The Eternal Accord as it approached the border of human space. He had never imagined he would make this journey. For 10,000 years, others had come to him, seeking favor. Now he was the one begging. Sir, we are approaching the human checkpoint, his pilot announced. Ahead, a small human station floated in the darkness. It was not impressive. Just a few modules connected in a simple design. But it marked the boundary between Council space and the new territory humanity had claimed. Beyond it lay something the Council no longer had. Hope. Hail them, Quindle ordered. The human face that appeared on the screen was young, a woman with dark hair and calm eyes. Her uniform bore the insignia of the Human Defense Fleet. This is Captain Sejenbeek of the Indomitable. You are approaching restricted space. State your purpose. I am High Arbiter Quindle of the Galactic Council. I request permission to meet with your leadership. Sijan's expression did not change. Permission denied. Return to Council space. Please, Captain. I have traveled far to deliver a message of utmost importance. You can transmit your message from your current position. Then you will leave. This matter requires face-to-face discussion. No, it does not. Sejin's tone was not rude. It was simply final. Hi, Arbiter. 18 months ago, you and your council made your position on humanity very clear. We heard you. We left. Now we ask that you respect our borders the same way we respected your decision. Captain, the council is facing an existential crisis. Millions have already died. More will die if we cannot secure your help. That is unfortunate, but it is not our problem. The screen went dark. Quindel stood in silence. His advisors looked at each other nervously. They had never seen their leader dismissed so casually. Hi, Arbiter, what do we do? One of them asked. We wait. Wait. For what? For them to change their minds? But Sejin did not change her mind. The Indomitable and 3 other human ships maintained a perimeter around Quindel's vessel. They did not threaten. They did not posture. They simply waited. The message was clear. You are not welcome here. Quindel waited for 3 days. He sent repeated requests for meetings. All were denied. Finally, on the 3rd day, he received a message. Ambassador Sora Kim will meet with you at the border station. Once, do not expect more. Quindel felt something he had not felt in centuries. Relief mixed with fear. The border station was small and functional. When Quindel entered the meeting room, Sora was already there. She looked older than he remembered. Not physically. Humans aged slowly with their medicine. But there was a weight in her eyes that had not been there before. Ambassador Kim, thank you for agreeing to see me. I am not an ambassador anymore. Hi, Arbiter. Just Sora. She gestured to a chair. Sit. You have traveled far. Say what you came to say. Quindel sat. For a moment, he did not know how to begin. He had rehearsed speeches, prepared arguments, but looking at Sora's calm, tired face, all of it felt hollow. We were wrong, he said simply. Yes, you were. The council is collapsing. Trade networks have failed. Communication systems are degrading. Our military cannot coordinate effectively. Species are starving. We are losing territory to the Dark Zone invaders. The Varaxian Empire is preparing to attack our weakened borders. Quindel paused. We need your help. No. The word hung in the air like a blade. Sora, please. I am offering full council membership with expanded territory. A seat on the High Council itself. Access to all council, technology, and resources. A formal public apology for how we treated humanity. We will give you anything you ask. You offer me things we have already built ourselves. Sora leaned forward. Hi, Arbiter. Let me tell you what happened after we left. We found 17 habitable worlds. We made first contact with 6 new species. We established trade relationships, defensive pacts, research agreements. We did all of this in 18 months. Impressive. But do you know why we succeeded so quickly? Because we treated our new partners with respect from the first moment. We listened to them. We valued their contributions. We built something together instead of demanding they serve us. Sora's voice was soft but firm. The council had 87 years to learn that lesson. You chose not to. We acknowledge our mistakes. Acknowledgement is not enough. You want us to die for you? To sacrifice our people defending your worlds. The same worlds whose leaders called us children and dismissed our contributions for nearly a century. Sora stood. I will tell you what I told you 18 months ago. You made your choice. We made ours. We are done. Millions will die. Millions have already died because of council arrogance. My people know this. We mourned for them. But we will not sacrifice ourselves to fix problems you created. Quindel felt something break inside him. Then you are condemning entire civilizations to extinction. Oh, High Arbiter. You did that when you treated us as tools instead of partners. Sora walked to the door, then paused. I kept records. Did you know that? For 20 years before we left, I documented everything. Every dismissive comment, Every time our warnings were ignored, every contribution we made that went uncredited, every sacrifice that went unacknowledged. She pulled out a data chip and placed it on the table. 5,743 incidents. That is how many times the Council demonstrated that they valued human service, but not human dignity. We did not leave in anger. High Arbiter, we left because we finally understood that you would never see us as equals. Only as convenient. Quindell stared at the data chip. We did not realize that is the problem. You did not realize. You did not pay attention. You took us for granted. Sora opened the door. Go home, High Arbiter. Solve your own problems. Humanity has moved on. The door closed behind her. Quindell sat alone in the small room staring at the data chip. He did not pick it up. He did not need to. He believed every word Sora had said. When he returned to Council space, he faced a leadership in chaos. The Dark Zone had launched a massive invasion, hitting 5 core worlds simultaneously. The Council's fragmented fleets were losing badly. Counselor Vexther met him in the war room. Did the humans agree to help? No. Then we are finished. Quindell looked at the tactical displays showing red markers spreading across Council space. Each marker represented a lost world, a defeated fleet, millions of dead. Send a message to all member species. Tell them the truth. We failed to value our most adaptable species, and now we pay the price. Each species must make its own peace with the invaders if it can. You are dissolving the Council. The Council dissolved itself when we chose pride over wisdom. Quindell turned away from the displays. I am simply admitting what we have known for months. We are already dead. We just have not stopped moving yet. In human space, Minho Park read the intelligence reports coming from Council territory. The collapse was faster than anyone had predicted. Some species were fleeing. Others were fighting hopeless battles. A few were trying to surrender, sir. Should we intervene? Asked his aide. Minho thought of all the years he had served the Council. All the battles he had fought. All the friends he had lost defending worlds that despised him. No, he said finally. They made their choices. We made ours. Let them face the consequences. The aide nodded and left. Minho stood alone, looking at the tactical displays, watching a civilization crumble in real time. He felt no satisfaction in it. Only a deep, tired sadness for what could have been if the Council had chosen differently. 3 years had passed since humanity walked away from the Galactic Council. The Council no longer existed. Captain Minho Park, now retired from active service, stood in his garden on the colony world of New Horizon. The planet had been lifeless when humans found it. Now it had forests, rivers, and cities built with careful attention to the natural landscape. It was beautiful in a way that made his chest ache. Grandfather Minho. A young voice called out. A girl of perhaps 8 ran toward him, her dark hair flying behind her. This was Minji on his neighbor's daughter. She was writing a school project about the old days, before humanity left Council space. Hello, Minji, what brings you here today? I have questions for my history paper. Can I interview you? Minho smiled. Of course. Sit. They sat on a bench overlooking the valley below. In the distance, human ships moved through the sky, carrying trade goods to and from the 23 species that now formed the Free Coalition. It was a group humanity had helped create, built on principles the Council had never managed to embrace: mutual respect, fair contribution, an equal voice regardless of how long a species had been traveling among the stars. My teacher says you were there when we left the Council, Minji began, holding up a recording device. Why did we leave? Minho was quiet for a moment, choosing his words carefully. Because staying would have destroyed us. Not physically, but in here. He tapped his chest. They treated us as servants, not partners. After 87 years of service, we finally understood they would never change. So we left, but people died after we left. The teacher said millions of people in Council space starved or were killed. Did we let that happen? It was a hard question. The kind that had haunted Minho for 3 years? We did not cause their deaths, Minji. The Council's own failures did. But yes, we could have helped. We chose not to. Was that wrong? I do not know. Is it wrong to refuse to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm, especially when that person has spent years telling you that your warmth does not matter? Minho sighed. The council had resources, technology, knowledge. They had everything except the wisdom to use it properly. We were not obligated to fix their mistakes. Mingi wrote notes on her tablet. What happened to the council? It broke apart about 2 years ago. The Dark Zone invaders took 40% of their territory. The remaining species formed smaller alliances, regional coalitions. Some are doing well, others are struggling. None of them have the unified strength the council once had. Do you think we will ever be friends with them again? Minho looked out at the valley. Some of them, maybe. The ones who learn from what happened. The ones who understand that partnership means equality. Far from New Horizon, Admiral Unichoi stood on the bridge of her exploration vessel, the Pathfinder. Her mission was simple: explore the unknown regions, make first contact with new species, establish peaceful relationships. It was dangerous work. 3 ships had been lost in the past year, but it was also rewarding. Admiral, we are detecting a signal ahead, her sensor officer reported. It appears to be a distress beacon. Council technology. Yes, ma'am. Old model, probably 15 years outdated, but definitely council origin. Una studied the readings. The signal was coming from a small moon in an uncharted system. How far into Dark Zone territory are we? Deep. This system is at least 50 light-years beyond the former council borders. Then what is a council ship doing here? Una thought for a moment. Take us in, carefully. What they found was surprising. The distress beacon was attached to a small research station, barely functional, with life support failing. Inside were 12 scientists from 3 different species. They had been studying Dark Zone technology, trying to understand the invaders. When the council collapsed, they had been forgotten, left behind in enemy territory. Una authorized a rescue operation. The scientists were brought aboard the Pathfinder, weak from malnutrition but alive. One of them, a Thalorian named Vekler, approached Una in the medical bay. You are human, he said, his voice filled with wonder and something like shame. Thank you for saving us. We did not think anyone would come. We picked up your distress signal. But you are not obligated to rescue us. We are not part of your coalition. We are from the species that treated you so poorly. Una looked at him for a long moment. That was not your choice. You were just scientists doing your work. We do not punish people for the failures of their leaders. Vekla's eyes filled with tears. You are more merciful than we deserve. Be? Or maybe we are just being who we always were, and you finally notice it. Back on New Horizon, Minho received an urgent message. It was from human intelligence. They had discovered something alarming. The Dark Zone invaders were massing forces for a massive push. Their target was not the old council territories. It was the independent species that had broken away. Small civilizations trying to survive in the chaos. There was a meeting of human leadership. The debate was fierce. We should warn them, argued a counselor named Hannah. Even if they do not deserve our help, innocent people will die if we warn them. They will expect us to help defend them too, countered another counselor. We do not have infinite resources. Minho listened to both sides. Then he spoke. We warn them. We give them the intelligence freely. What they do with it is their choice. But why? Hannah asked. After everything they did to us? Because that is who we are, Minho said quietly. The council failed because they forgot that strength is not just military power or ancient wisdom. True strength is choosing to be better than your enemies. If we become like them, if we let innocent people die out of spite, then we are no different than the council we left behind. The vote was close, but humanity chose to send the warning. The intelligence was detailed, comprehensive, and freely given. There were no demands for payment, no conditions, no strings attached. Just information that could save millions of lives. Some of the former council species used the intelligence well. They coordinated their defenses, evacuated civilians, prepared for the attack, Others ignored it, too proud to accept help from the humans they had dismissed. When the Dark Zone invasion came, those who had prepared survived. Those who had not suffered greatly. Among the survivors was High Arbiter Quindel. He was no longer an arbiter of anything. His civilization had fractured. His authority was gone. He was just an old being watching his people struggle to survive. He sent one final message to Sora Kim. He did not expect a response. He just needed to say the words, "I understand now." The council did not fail because humans left. It failed because we never deserved to have you as members. We only deserve to have you as leaders. We were too arrogant to see that the youngest species among us had wisdom we lacked. You showed us that strength without wisdom is just power, and power without respect is just tyranny. I am sorry. Not because it will change anything, but because it is true. Sora read the message in her home on New Horizon. She did not respond, but she saved it. Minji finished her interview with Minho and thanked him. As she walked away, she turned back. Grandfather Minho, do you think we did the right thing? Leaving them. Minho smiled sadly. I think we did the only thing we could do. We chose ourselves. For 87 years, we chose them. Finally, we chose us. Whether that was right or wrong, history will decide. What do you think history will say? I think history will say that we survived, that we built something better, that we did not let bitterness destroy us. Minho looked up at the sky where human ships moved peacefully between the stars. I think history will say that we left when we needed to, and we became who we were always meant to be. Years later, some former council species began formally requesting to join the Free Coalition. Each request was considered carefully. Some were accepted. Others were denied. But every decision was made with fairness, transparency, and respect for all voices. The coalition grew slowly, carefully, always prioritizing quality of partnership over quantity of members. It was not perfect. There were disagreements, conflicts, difficult compromises, but it worked in a way the council never had, because it was built on a foundation of mutual respect instead of ancient privilege. On his homeworld, Quindel watched human vessels pass through what used to be council space. They were not invading. They were trading, exploring, helping where they could. They had not become conquerors. They had simply moved on. He stood at his window, watching those distant lights, and whispered words that no one heard. We could have been great together. But the humans were already gone, too far away to hear, building something better in the dark spaces between the stars. They had learned the hardest lesson of all, that sometimes you have to walk away from people who will never value you. And sometimes the greatest strength is knowing when to leave. Behind them, the remnants of the council watched and learned. Some with resentment, some with understanding, all with the bitter knowledge that they had been given a chance at something remarkable, and they had thrown it away. The council could only watch as humans left, and by the time they understood what they had lost, it was far too late to fix anything.